The chair now calls on Ranking Member Hoyle for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman Wheeler, what I'm most concerned about on HR 2073 is that it would ban the federal government from even studying modifications of the lower Snake River Dam. Can you discuss some of your concerns about what the consequences of that would be?
Thank you for the question, Congresswoman. You know, as we look at out at our neighbor, sometimes through our window, and you know, sometimes our window is dirty and grimy and has dust on it, and when we look to see what's going on out there, we don't see a clearer picture. And until we clean that window and we're able to look over there and see that the clearer picture, then how can we ever understand what needs to happen? And so when we think about the big picture of the Columbia Basin system, or the Columbia Basin in general, and the lower Snake River and its ESA listed species, status quo has done nothing for the fish. They're in dire straits right now. There's several of the species that are about to go extinct, and if we're not able to see the full picture, then HR 2073 is something that detracts from that ability to look at the bigger picture. And as we look to grow the Pacific Northwest and the Nez Perce in our country, then we need to look at the full picture, and this disallows that.
Thank you. And you spoke to the treaty with the United States of 1855, and you know, the federal government does have legal treaty obligations to ensure the Nez Perce, the Yakima, the Warm Springs, and Umatilla tribes can fish in the Columbia River. I'd like you to talk about just a bit about the trust responsibility and what that should look like in practice.
Well, in practice, if we were to look at, we'd say a treaty bridge, for instance, from your side to our side, and being able to cross that bridge. In 1855, we were able to cross that bridge back and forth. And over the course of time, that bridge is deteriorated. If we call it the treaty bridge, then, you know, when we work with federal agencies under statutory authorities, they were developed, and their development and under those statutory authorities are to ensure that the trust responsibilities are that they have to uphold based on treaty rights that they and a treaty that they negotiated, that's in the Constitution for us under Article 6, Clause 2, and we're all subject to the rule of law. And so if your inability to be able to uphold the rule of law, in which this case you need to uphold the rule of law because Article 6, Clause 2 is where the supremacy clause and treaties sit, then we as people need to be able to express and explain that as a signer of the treaty. We need to show that here's where we are on the treaty, and here's where the United States is. This is what was promised. This is what the Nez Perce granted to the United States of America, and this is what we reserved. We reserved the ability to hunt, fish, gather, and travel in all usual and accustomed places.
Thank you. And finally, we have 1 minute left. I'd like to give you a chance to address or elaborate on any of the statements we've heard today. Anything you'd like to add?
Thank you for the allowance of this time. And, you know, I think that, you know, one of our greatest chiefs of all time, Chief Joseph, said it does not take many words to speak the truth. And we come here to speak the truth. We come here to give you the fair and efficient the numbers that are efficient, that are factual numbers. There are factual numbers that are Columbia River numbers. There are factual numbers that are Snake River numbers. There are factual numbers that are ESA listed species, native spawning fish that are in these waters that are going extinct. The quasi-extinction threshold that many of these species are meeting, which means 50 or fewer native spawners are returning to that tributary for 4 consecutive years, is happening. That's science on the ground. I told a irrigation farmers that are in the Tri-Cities, we talked about this. And I said, if you plant 100 acres and you're able to harvest 1% of 1 acre of your acreage, then what type of return is that? And also, what is your science tell you? And do you believe your science? Well, we believe our science, and we bring that science forward as well with us.
Thank you.